what Amish families actually eat for breakfast before a full day of farm work. But here is the twist, and this is exactly why you need to stay with me. Most of what you think you know about Amish breakfast is completely backwards. The calories, the timing, the ingredients they choose, even the spiritual reason they break fast the way they do. By the end of this video, I am going to reveal why a single Amish breakfast contains more survival wisdom than 3 weeks of modern nutrition science, and why your own morning meal might be sabotaging everything you are trying to accomplish today. If you have ever wondered how a single Amish farmer can work from dawn until sunset without crashing, burning out, or needing stimulants, this is the answer. And if you are serious about understanding how the old ways kept entire families strong through brutal seasons, subscribe now and ring that notification bell. I release videos every single week on forgotten skills and ancestral wisdom that modern people have completely lost. Leave a comment below and tell me what you eat for breakfast right now. I am genuinely curious how your morning compares to what you are about to learn. Wait, before we go any further, I need your full attention for just a moment. What I am about to share is not something you will find in a nutrition blog or a fitness influencer's morning routine. This is real, documented knowledge from inside Amish communities that actually work the land, not social media people selling the same recycled breakfast idea to millions. That is exactly why I put together a complete, in-depth guide on how plain community families structure their entire eating calendar around the seasons, the work, and what the land actually produces. This guide breaks down the hidden nutritional patterns, the meal timing strategies, and the food preservation methods that keep these families thriving without modern supplements or supermarkets. You can find it in the description and in my pinned comment. It goes so much deeper than what I can cover in a video. So let me start with the part that surprises almost everyone. When an Amish family sits down to breakfast, they are not eating what you think they are eating. There is no obsession with protein powder, no macro counting, no Greek yogurt sitting perfectly portioned in a glass bowl. Instead, the meal is built around something much simpler and infinitely more practical. It is built around what the season provides, what their bodies need for the specific work ahead that day, and what can be prepared without wasting fuel or time. The core of an Amish breakfast is almost always starch. And before modern diet culture makes you panic about that word, understand this. A farmer who is about to spend 10 hours moving hay bales, fixing fence posts, or hauling water does not need a low-carb morning. He needs fuel that burns clean, steady, and long. In winter, that often means thick slices of fresh bread, still warm from the oven if it was baked the night before, spread with butter that was churned from cream that came from their own cows just days earlier. Not margarine, not spreadable butter from a tub that has been sitting in a warehouse for months. Real, cultured butter that carries the flavor of the specific grass the cows were eating. The butter is not some nutritional afterthought either. Before matches were invented in 1826, people relied on butter as one of their primary sources of stored energy and fat-soluble vitamins through the entire winter. That knowledge did not disappear in Amish homes. It was never replaced. The butter contains vitamins A, D, E, and K2. All things that modern science now understands are absolutely critical for building bone, supporting immune function, and maintaining stable energy through long physical work. An Amish family is not thinking about that science when they spread the butter, but their bodies know exactly what they are getting. They know because their grandmother's grandmothers knew. Alongside that bread, you will almost always find eggs. Again, not the pale, thin-shelled eggs from a supermarket that were laid months ago and have been sitting in climate-controlled storage. These are eggs from chickens that have been pecking around the farmyard for 2 or 3 years, eating bugs, grass, and kitchen scraps. The yolks are almost impossibly orange, so vivid that if you told someone from the city this was what a real egg yolk looked like, they might think you were exaggerating. The color is not food dye or some filter, it is carotenoids, the same compound that makes carrots orange, and it means the eggs are loaded with nutrients that pale, factory farm eggs simply do not contain. An Amish farmer will typically eat 2 to 4 eggs for breakfast, depending on the work ahead and the season. A winter morning before a full day of barn work, 4 eggs. A summer morning before lighter chores, probably 2. This is not calorie counting. This is intuitive nutrition. The body knows what it needs, and Amish families have never interrupted that intuition with ideology or trends. The eggs are almost always fried in lard or bacon fat left over from previous meals, not in vegetable oil. The animal fat has a higher smoke point, tastes better, and contains fat-soluble vitamins that vegetable oils cannot provide. The lard also seasons the cast iron skillet deeper each time it is used, which means the skillet becomes a cooking tool that actually improves with age instead of degrading. This is where things get interesting, because the third element of the breakfast, and I promised you a revelation that would shift how you think about your own mornings, is meat. Not a small side of bacon, not a sausage link. I am talking about a full serving of meat, sometimes as much as a quarter pound, and often it is leftover meat from the previous night's dinner, or smoked meat that has been preserved specifically for breakfasts throughout the week. In winter, this might be smoked ham, thick slices cut from a ham that was cured and smoked the previous autumn. In summer, it might be leftover roasted chicken from yesterday's meal, warmed gently on the stove. During fall, when an animal was recently slaughtered, it could be liver, organ meat packed with iron, B vitamins, and minerals that modern people have almost completely removed from their diets because we are squeamish about eating organs. An Amish family does not have that luxury, and frankly, they do not have that weakness. Every part of an animal is food. Nothing is wasted. And the organs, which we throw away or feed to dogs, are nutritionally denser than almost any supplement you could buy. Now, many people eat protein in the morning. But there is something different about the way this protein is structured in an Amish breakfast. It is not isolated or optimized in the modern sense. It is not a protein shake or lean chicken breast separated from everything else on the plate. It is meat cooked in fat, seasoned with salt and often nothing else, and eaten directly alongside bread and butter. This combination, protein, fat, and complex carbohydrates eaten together, all from sources the family either raised, grew, or preserved themselves, creates a metabolic state that modern science is only now beginning to understand. When you eat protein, fat, and carbohydrates together in this ratio, your blood sugar does not spike and crash like it does when you eat a high-carb breakfast alone. Your hunger hormones stabilize. Your energy remains constant for 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours before you need to eat again. An Amish farmer is not thinking about this biochemistry while he eats, but his body is experiencing it. He will work all morning without the energy dip that hits most people around mid-morning. He will not crave a snack at 10 in the morning. He will not hit an energy wall at 1 in the afternoon. That stable energy is not willpower or toughness. It is a direct result of the breakfast structure. The fourth element is something most modern people would not expect to see at a farm breakfast at all. It is something that breaks our mental model of what a healthy breakfast should look like. It is something sweet. An Amish breakfast almost always includes something rich and sweet, not like a donut or a pastry filled with processed sugar and seed oils, but something real: molasses, honey, preserves made from fruit picked the previous summer and cooked down with just enough sugar to preserve it through the winter. Sometimes it is a thick, dark molasses cookie baked days earlier and saved for breakfast. Sometimes it is a small bowl of stewed fruit, apples or plums from the orchard, cooked soft with a little sugar and cinnamon. Sometimes it is simply a spoonful of honey eaten directly from a jar that was filled from the hives on the property. This sweet component is not an indulgence. It is calculation. The molasses and honey contain minerals, especially minerals like potassium, manganese, and chromium, that the body will need throughout the day of physical work. The honey also contains compounds that the body can use to build endurance and manage inflammation in the muscles and joints. An Amish family is not reading food labels or looking up micronutrient profiles. They are eating the way their great-grandparents ate, and their great-grandparents lived to be 80 and 90 years old while working physically hard for their entire lives. That is the proof. That is the credential. The final element, and this is something that almost no modern breakfast includes, is a hot beverage, but not coffee, not tea, at least not the kind you are thinking of. Many Amish families drink a simple broth in the morning, made from bones simmered overnight or over several hours. Sometimes it is the broth left over from a soup or stew made the night before. Sometimes it is a hot drink made from herbs, comfrey leaf, nettles, or other medicinal plants dried from summer and stored for the winter months. That broth or herb tea serves multiple purposes at once. It is warm, which means it slows down your eating and aids digestion. It contains gelatin and minerals extracted from bone, collagen, glycine, proline, All things your joints, skin, and gut lining desperately need, especially if you are about to spend 10 hours doing hard physical work. The heat also signals your digestive system to wake up and prepare for processing a large, complex meal. There is no coffee crash because there is no coffee. There is no jittery overstimulation. There is just steady, calm energy from food. What you are looking at, in total, is a breakfast that takes somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour to eat and prepare. It is not fast food. It is not a protein bar scarfed down in a car on the way to work. It is a meal that involves sitting down, eating slowly, and fueling the body with real intention before a day of real work begins. The Amish family does this 6 days a week, and on the seventh day, Sunday, the breakfast is often similar, but the day itself is structured differently. Sunday is for church, for rest, for community. The body knows the rhythm. The mind knows the rhythm. The entire family's biology is synchronized to this pattern. And here is what most outsiders miss completely. This breakfast is not expensive. It is not complicated to replicate. Everything in it comes from animals and plants. The family either raises themselves or sources directly from neighbors. There is no markup. There is no processing cost. There is no transportation fee. There is no advertising that convinced them they needed this product. It is just food, real food, prepared simply, eaten intentionally. A modern person could replicate 90% of this breakfast with ingredients from a farmer's market or by raising a few chickens and keeping a small garden. The barrier is not money or access. The barrier is habit and belief. The barrier is thinking that breakfast should be quick, convenient, and come from a box. This is the moment where I need to slow down and really emphasize something. If you are sitting at home right now thinking, okay, this is nice information, but I do not have time for a breakfast like this, I want to gently challenge that belief. You have the exact same 24 hours that an Amish farmer has. The difference is not time. The difference is priority. An Amish family prioritizes the morning meal because they understand that the quality of that meal directly determines the quality of their entire day. Not the quality of their workout, not the quality of their productivity software, not the quality of their morning affirmations, the quality of their breakfast. And if you are thinking, but I do not eat meat, or I am trying to lose weight so I should eat less, I want to offer a different framework. The goal here is not to follow Amish eating because it is trendy or because it fits a particular diet ideology. The goal is to understand that for hundreds of years, before modern nutrition science, before diet culture, before any of us were born, families that worked the land developed eating patterns that sustained them through backbreaking work, brutal seasons, and physical hardship. Those patterns worked. They worked so well that Amish communities continue to practice them today, and they experience virtually none of the metabolic diseases that plague the modern Western world. The point is not that you have to eat exactly like this. The point is that you have to eat with intention. You have to know where your food comes from. You have to understand what is actually in your mouth before you swallow it. You have to sit down. You have to eat slowly. You have to eat food that your body actually recognizes as nourishment. This is where the script transitions to the second part, where I reveal the exact timing strategy that Amish families use to structure their entire day around the breakfast meal, and why that timing is the key that unlocks sustainable energy and prevents the burnout that most modern people experience by Thursday afternoon. End of part 1. Let me show you exactly how Amish families time their day around this breakfast foundation. Because timing is not a small detail. It is the entire architecture of how they stay energized, focused, and capable for 12 to 14 hours of physical labor without experiencing the energy crashes that destroy most modern workers by mid-afternoon. Most Amish families wake between 4:30 and 5 a.m. Not because they are forced to, not because they enjoy being tired. They wake this early because they understand something that modern productivity culture completely missed. The body needs time to transition from sleep into work. It needs time to be hungry. It needs time to digest breakfast slowly while the mind is still calm. By 5:30 a.m., the first set of morning chores is already done. Not all of them, the urgent ones. The animals are fed. The stalls are cleaned. The day has started with a sense of completion rather than chaos. The body has warmed up. The mind has settled into work mode. The stomach is now genuinely hungry. By 6 a.m., breakfast is already being prepared. Not rushed, already being prepared. This is the second crucial timing element that most modern people do not understand. In an Amish home, breakfast is not something you make in 8 minutes while checking email. Breakfast begins its preparation while the farm work is still happening. The fire is already hot. The bread is already in the oven. The oatmeal is already simmering on the back of the stove. By 6:45 a.m., everyone stops work and comes to the table. Not 6:30, not 7:15, 6:45. Consistency. The younger children understand that breakfast happens at this time. The hired workers know this. The family knows this. The animals know this. They have already been fed and will wait until after breakfast to be attended to again. And this is where I need you to pause for a moment and really hear what I am saying. Because what I am about to explain is the single most important difference between how Amish families maintain their energy and how modern workers burn out. This is not just about food. This is about the neurobiology of sustained performance. The Amish eat slowly, and I mean genuinely slowly. A breakfast that a modern person would finish in 8 minutes takes them 20 to 30 minutes, not because they are inefficient, but because eating slowly does 3 things that modern science is only now rediscovering. It allows your digestive system to send satiety signals to your brain before you overeat. It prevents the blood sugar spikes that lead to afternoon energy crashes, and it gives your parasympathetic nervous system time to activate, which is the only state where your body can actually absorb nutrients properly. When you eat while stressed, while standing, while rushing, your body is in fight or flight mode. Your sympathetic nervous system is active. Your digestion is suppressed. Your cortisol is elevated. You eat more. You absorb less. You crash harder later. The Amish do not eat this way by accident. They eat this way because their entire community structure forces them to slow down. Before we continue deeper into how this timing strategy extends across the entire day and the exact window where Amish families get the most done, I want to point you toward the comprehensive guide we have created on this exact topic. My complete survival and homesteading ebook, The Forgotten Roots Field Manual, breaks down not just what Amish families eat, but the precise timing architecture of their entire day, the nutrient ratios that keep them performing at high levels without modern stimulants, and the exact meal transitions they use throughout the year to match seasonal work demands. This guide goes far deeper than what we can cover here, and it is available in the description and pinned in the comments. If you want to actually implement this in your own life, that guide is where the real mechanics are revealed. Now, here is where most breakfast conversations stop. They talk about what people eat and call it done. But Amish families know something else. They know that breakfast is not actually about breakfast. Breakfast is the foundation, but the real performance window, the time where the day is actually won or lost, happens in the hours immediately after eating. Between 7:15 and 8 a.m., something critical happens. Most modern people would rush back to work immediately. The Amish do something different. They allow a slow transition. Some stay at the table a few minutes longer, talking. Some help with cleanup. Some step outside for a moment of fresh air before the day accelerates. This is not laziness. This is the activation window. By 8 a.m., the breakfast food has been in the system for about 90 minutes. The blood sugar is stable. The digestion is active but not consuming all the body's energy. The hormones are balanced. The mind is clear. And this is precisely when the Amish do their most skilled, most dangerous, most cognitively demanding work. This is not random. The timing is intentional. If you eat a heavy breakfast at 7 a.m. and immediately do heavy physical work, your body diverts blood flow to your muscles. Your digestion is compromised. Your energy dips mid-morning. But if you eat at 6:45, allow a slow transition until 7:15, and then gradually move into increasingly demanding work, you hit the sweet spot at 8 a.m. when your body has processed the calories into actual usable energy and your mind is clear enough to make decisions that will not get you hurt. Most modern people do not experience this timing window because they do not have the breakfast foundation to build it on. They skip breakfast or eat something with zero nutritional density. They rush to work without transition. They hit their desk at 8:30 a.m. with a spiking blood sugar and a crashed dopamine system. By 10 a.m., they need coffee. By noon, they need sugar. By 3 p.m., they have hit the wall that the Amish never experience. The breakfast timing strategy is not just about eating food. It is about understanding that your body and brain are biological machines, and like any machine, they perform best when they are given the right fuel at the right time in the right sequence. The Amish have figured this out not through reading nutrition science, most of them do not have formal education in that field, but through generations of trial and error, through watching what works and what does not, through understanding that if you want to be able to work hard and think clearly for 14 hours, you have to start that day exactly right. And this is where most people miss the second layer. Breakfast sets up the morning. But what happens at lunch determines whether the afternoon is sustainable or whether the energy finally collapses. The Amish understand this completely, and their lunch strategy is almost the opposite of what modern diets recommend. Modern nutrition tells you to eat light at lunch. Smaller portions, salads, lean protein, lots of vegetables. The logic sounds right. Keep your blood sugar stable. Avoid the afternoon crash. But this logic was built for people sitting in chairs all day. The Amish are not sitting in chairs. By noon, they have already burned 3,000 to 4,000 calories. Their bodies are not confused by a substantial meal. Their bodies are screaming for one. So lunch in an Amish household is not light, it is real. Bread, thick, dense, made that morning. Butter, cheese, leftover meat from dinner the night before, stew, root vegetables, sometimes pie. The carbohydrates are whole and slow digesting. The fats are real fats, butter, lard, animal fat, which modern people have been taught to fear, but which keep you full and stable for hours. The proteins are substantial, but not extreme, and the portions are not small. Here is what happens physiologically. That lunch does not spike your blood sugar and crash your energy. It does the opposite. It creates a stable, long plateau of available energy that carries you through another 4 to 6 hours of work. No crash, no need for a snack, no need for coffee. Just steady, predictable fuel. And this is where the breakfast strategy and the lunch strategy connect into a complete system. Breakfast sets the metabolic tone. It teaches your body that energy is abundant, that you can think clearly, that you are safe. Lunch maintains that tone. It prevents the crash. It keeps the blood sugar flat. It preserves the mental clarity you built in the morning. But here is the part that most survival and homesteading content misses completely. Most people think the Amish breakfast, lunch, and dinner system is about willpower, or discipline, or religious devotion. It is not. It is about understanding something that your great-grandparents understood, but you probably do not. That what you eat at the beginning of your day determines not just your morning, but your entire capacity to work, think, survive, and recover. And that this understanding is not optional. It is not a diet hack. It is survival. Wait, this is the secret I promised you at the beginning of this video. The Amish do not eat breakfast before farm work because they are stubborn or traditional or religious. They eat breakfast before farm work because they are engineers. They understand energy systems. They understand that a human body is a machine, and like any machine, it runs differently depending on what you put in it and when you put it in. A horse will not work well on an empty stomach. A car will not run on empty. A human will not think clearly or work hard or survive long on skipped breakfast and coffee. The Amish know this, and they have known it for generations, not because they read a study, because they have seen what happens when you do it wrong. Your great-grandparents understood this too. They did not have a choice. They worked with their hands. They had to be awake and clear and strong at 5 a.m. or they would not eat that night. So they ate breakfast. Real breakfast. Breakfast that stuck with them. Breakfast that prepared their bodies for work. And then electricity happened. And cars. And grocery stores. And offices. And now you can survive without that knowledge. You can skip breakfast. You can work sitting down. You can buy your calories from a drive-thru. You can exist without understanding how your own body works. But you cannot survive well on that diet. And the Amish know it. So here is what I want you to do this week. I want you to try one thing. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, eat breakfast. Real breakfast. Not coffee. Not a granola bar. Not a protein shake. Eggs, butter, bread, meat. Something that takes 10 to 15 minutes to digest. Something that sticks with you. Something that your great-grandparents would recognize as food. And then notice what happens. Notice if your energy is different. Notice if your mind is clearer. Notice if you are less hungry at lunch. Notice if you can work or think for longer before you need to stop. Notice if you feel different. Because that difference is not a feeling. That is your body telling you the truth about how it actually works. And once you know that truth, you cannot unknow it. The Amish have not invented some exotic secret. They have just remembered something that modern life made us forget. And that something is this: take care of your body first thing in the morning, and your body will take care of you for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for watching this far. If this message resonated with you, if you are ready to reclaim the wisdom that kept your ancestors alive and thriving, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Leave a comment below and tell me, what did your own great-grandparents eat for breakfast? I read every single comment, and I would love to hear your story. Your roots matter. Your ancestors knew what they were doing, and so do you. End of part 3. Script complete.